Alright, it is Dash Island here for Broad Culture, which we really don't post many videos anymore because we're all busy. John's busy, classwork, and I'm just busy being a father. So anyways, got new content, I've got ideas for videos and such. So there's been a lot of new stuff coming out here lately, and it's been exciting. And what's recently come out is something I've been waiting 9 years for. And this is part of my series of Dash reviews that I'm finally bringing back. And this time it is the new album from the Offspring, Let the Bad Times Roll. Now, Let the Bad Times Roll has been in the work for like 9 years, because their last album was 2012's Days Go By. And that was a very good album. I loved it. Had some interesting songs to it, some references to Orwell and whatnot. I really did like it. And then a couple years later, you bring in Coming For You, which is technically the lead single off the album. And people were like, okay, is a new album coming? And then, like, nope. And there are many different contexts to really reason as to why there hasn't been a new album in like 9 years. Similar to like why Metallica didn't have a new album for so long. But this is because they had their own prior commitments. And there's also the deal that Dexter Holland, the frontman, was actually working on his thesis for his doctorate in microbiology, which is very cool because he's like one of the smartest rock stars out there. Kind of like Brian May of Queen. So that's one of the reasons, and then there's just the general writing and stuff. And we finally have the album, and whenever they first teased Let the Bad Times Roll, I think the artwork is very cool, it's very interesting. It has quite a bit going on with it, but not so much going on with it that it disorients you. It has enough to make you say, this is very interesting, I want to take a further look at it. And you see different references that you know this is going to be an album about so many different issues, because the Offspring is a California rock band. I even argue with my family, like, no, they're just a typical rock band. I'm like, no, they're a punk rock band. They've always been punk rock. And I've been into punk rock since I was a kid, especially the Offspring. And so we go through the track listing, and there's so much stuff that is classic Offspring with different twists on it. Like, it opens up with This Is Not Utopia. And it's a great song. You can definitely tell it's about the current issues with the police and whatnot. Definitely references George Floyd, because one of the lyrics is talking about murder in the streets, or like shot without a warning. It's definitely a good song. It's probably bound to be a single. I think it's single worthy. I like it. It's really, really catchy. Then you have, of course, the eponymous album song, which is Let the Bad Times Roll. It's a great song in itself too. Definitely has some references to Trump and everything, but it's really talking about narcissism and whatnot. And it's just a fun song all around. You can interpret it any way you want. It's just fun all around. It's different for an Offspring song because it starts out with an acoustic and then it goes electric, and it's that classic Offspring riff that you get. Kind of like some of the riffs you would hear off their 2008 album, Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace. And the mixing is different on this one. It's a lot more stripped down than past ones. It's not as thickened with its production. Like in past Offspring albums, you hear the instrumentation as evenly as you do the vocals, and in this one you're hearing the vocals a lot more than the instrumentation, which to me is a bit odd, but I still like it. You can hear some of the age that goes on with Dexter's voice, but he still sings like himself. He still sounds like himself. It's just some parts he gets a little bit nasally, but I don't mind it, because like I said, I am a big Offspring fan. You got, of course, Coming For You, which they had to add on there, which usually a lot of bands that make a standalone single that's been quite a bit of time before an album usually don't include it in the album, such as Slipknot did, where they had All Out Life. They didn't include it on We Are Not Your Kind. It was just a standalone by itself. But yeah, Coming For You is a fun song too. Doesn't have to be about anything. It's just a fun song where it's just like F everyone and F everything. That's just where it's really fun. You have Army of One, Breaking These Bones, and Behind These Walls, which are all pretty good songs. They've got their own uniqueness. I can't really say much about them because they don't stand out as much as the other songs I listen to. We Never Have Sex Anymore is a classic Offspring song because the Offspring are also well known for making some comedic songs. Like you got Why Don't You Get a Job, which is hilarious, which my father likes hearing it because divorce. There's also Original Prankster, and then you got We Never Have Sex Anymore. It's just so many random lyrics about not having sex and whatnot. It's just hilarious. You gotta listen to yourself, and you'll get a good laugh out of it. I'm glad he did. It's different. It's also got a bit of brass in it, which you can hear, and it's definitely interesting. I do like it. I find it hilarious. Then you've got the piano version of Gone Away, which is somber, which you don't hear too many bands that will re-release a song reimagined and not have like piano version in front of it or something like that. Because like whenever Breaking Benjamin did the Aurora album, they noted it as the Aurora version. And really even then, you still don't have many bands that will re-release an old song on a new album. So they did something bold. And then lastly, you have Lullaby, which is playing off the lyrics of the chorus of Let the Bad Times Roll, and it closes out the album. And it's a shorter Offspring album. It's only like 34 minutes long. So there's some stuff there. It even has a little cover of In the Hall of the Mountain King, which was a bit odd. But I appreciate the Offspring. I appreciate music. But it's a good album experience. It's pretty decent. So I'll give it about 4 stars. Because I don't really give anything 5 stars. But definitely a great experience. I do recommend listening to Let the Bad Times Roll by the Offspring. I don't think anyone would regret it. It's got some classic Offspring sound. It's got some of their new stuff. It's definitely got the punk influence in there because it does take on current issues. Alright, I forgot to mention there's a song called The Opioid Diaries, so it definitely does tackle the current issues. They're like the last of those bands that will really talk about the social stuff and really go at it with the punk influence. Like, to me, I don't really see that. Because people are like, what about Green Day? Well, like, Green Day sold out. I consider Green Day sellouts. Meanwhile, the Offspring, they just do their own thing. They don't care. After all, they did a comedic song called We Never Have Sex Anymore. They don't really care about what anyone's going to say about them. They just go ahead and do it. After all, look at Dexter Holland. He was studying for his biology degree whenever the band first formed. And he already has a doctorate. He has his own brand of hot sauce called Gringo Bandito, which I love because I tried it a couple months ago and I can't stop using it. And he's also a pilot, so he's not going to care because people are like, you know, be like, what's a doctor in microbiology doing in one of the world's most famous punk rock bands? Who cares? But Let the Bad Times Roll is a great album, and I do recommend y'all listen to it. If you like this video, like it, and stay tuned for more, even though it's going to be very spaced out because of prior commitments. We'll see you next time.